Benjamin Harkin and colleagues ran a meta-analysis of 138 studies with over 19,000 participants to answer one specific question. Does monitoring goal progress actually work? The answer, published in Psychological Bulletin, was unambiguous. Progress monitoring produced significant improvements in goal attainment, and the more frequent and visible the tracking, the larger the effect. Tracking is not a personality preference or a productivity aesthetic. It is one of the most reliably replicated behavior change interventions in psychology. A visible streak creates a compounding psychological asset. Each tick mark is evidence. Evidence becomes momentum. Momentum becomes identity. Teresa Amabiel's progress principle research at Harvard shows that small wins you can actually see are the single strongest predictor of sustained motivation at work and in personal behavior change. What gets measured gets repeated, but only when the measurement is visible in the moment. Today, evidence comes from Benjamin Harkin 138 study meta-analysis on progress monitoring published in Psychological Bulletin, Teresa Amabiel and Stephen Kramer longitudinal progress principle research from Harvard Business School, Charles Duhigg synthesis of the habit loop in The Power of Habit, and Edwin Locke and Gary Latham foundational goal-setting theory published in American Psychologist. Benjamin Harkin and colleagues synthesized 138 studies with more than 19,000 participants examining whether monitoring goal progress actually improves goal attainment. The meta-analytic effect was robust and consistent, roughly a medium effect size, meaning monitoring alone meaningfully increased follow-through. Effects were amplified when progress was physically recorded, publicly reported, or visible to the person multiple times per day. The mechanism is feedback loop closure. You cannot adjust behavior toward a target you cannot see yourself approaching. 4 mechanisms explain why tracking works where willpower alone fails. First, it closes the feedback loop. You can only adjust behavior toward a target you can see. Second, it makes the behavior concrete. Abstract goals become countable representatives. Third, the streak creates loss aversion. You do not want to break a chain of evidence you have built. Fourth, the act of marking the completion is itself a small dopamine reward that reinforces the behavior in the immediate moment, not only at some distant outcome. Teresa Amabiel and Stephen Kramer analyzed nearly 12,000 diary entries from 238 knowledge workers to identify what distinguished their best days from their worst. The single strongest predictor of positive inner work life, motivation, engagement, creative output, was visible progress on meaningful work. Small wins mattered more than large milestones. Amabiel called this the progress principle and concluded that managers and individuals who make progress visible consistently outperform those who only track outcomes. For measurable dimensions where tracked habits outperform untracked habits in the literature, follow-through rates are significantly higher. Behaviors become automatic faster because the daily mark creates an explicit completion signal. Resistance to skipping days improves because of loss aversion on the streak. And crucially, recovery after a lapse is faster when tracking continues. You see the single missed day in context of many completed ones, rather than letting it become the start of a spiral. The most common tracking myth is that tracking is obsessive or controlling and that natural flow is superior. The research says the opposite. Locke and Latham's goal-setting theory, confirmed across 40 years of research, shows that specific, tracked goals produce substantially higher performance than vague "do your best" instructions, even when people believe they are working hard in both conditions. The subjective feeling of effort is a poor proxy for actual progress. Tracking corrects that gap. 3 steps to build a tracking system that actually works. First, choose a single binary metric per habit. Did it happen today, yes or no? Because binary tracking outperforms complex measurement in the literature. Second, make the tracker physically visible in your environment. A wall calendar, a notebook on your desk, a widget on your phone home screen. Invisible trackers fail. Third, mark the completion immediately after the behavior, not at end-of-day review. The immediate mark closes the reward loop while the behavior is still fresh. 5 practical moves to make tracking stick. Choose one keystone habit to track for the first 30 days. Do not try to track 5 things at once. Put a physical marker somewhere you will see at least 3 times a day. Use a binary yes or no. Skip rating systems. Never skip twice in a row. The 2-day rule is the single most powerful protection against slipping into full relapse. And review the chain weekly to extract genuine feedback, not just guilt. 3 if-then plans that turn tracking itself into a habit. When you complete your keystone habit each day, mark the tracker immediately before doing anything else, no exceptions. When you notice you missed yesterday, commit to the 2-day rule and make today non-negotiable. And every Sunday morning, after coffee but before opening any messages, Review the past 7 days of your tracker for 5 minutes and set one specific commitment for the week. Habit tracking is one of the most replicated behavior change interventions in psychology. Harkin's meta-analysis across 138 studies shows monitoring produces robust improvements in goal attainment. Amabiel's progress principle identifies visible small wins as the strongest predictor of sustained motivation. The mechanism is feedback loop closure plus loss aversion on the streak plus immediate reward from the mark itself. One binary metric, one visible tracker, marked immediately. Never skip twice. Weekly review. That is the entire system. Subscribe to Habits, backed by science for weekly peer-reviewed research applied to the habits that directly improve how you think, feel, and perform. Before you close this video, choose one keystone habit and pick where your tracker will physically live: the wall above your desk, the fridge, a widget on your phone. Place it before you end the day. The system you will actually use is the one you can see without opening an app.